Hey guys, welcome back to a very special episode of Cowboy Cartel. Today we are in New Jersey. We're at Serratelli Hat Company. We're here with Dean Serratelli, owner of Serratelli Hat Company. Tell us where we are exactly.
So we are in Newark, New Jersey.
With some sirens.
With some sirens, by. Right? Just to kind of, validate where we are in the city of Newark, between a couple of hospitals. Yeah. That's where we are. Welcome to Serratelli Hat Company.
Thank you. We really appreciate you guys having us out. And you guys are going to get a chance to see some of the production facilities here. We took some video of that, and we'll roll it in as we go through. But Serratelli Hat Company, it's you kind of have a big presence across the United States, North America, but you're not as well known in Texas, right? So, right. And that may be because you produce a ton of private label hats, and you've probably seen Serratelli hats, and you just didn't know it, right?
That's right. For generations.
For generations.
For generations.
Right. So how long has Serratelli been in business?
So since 1878 is when it all started. So
that's a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time. And I've been running it since 1984.
Still owned by a Serratelli. So, I mean, it's been a family company for 150 years.
Family owned and operated.
Yeah. So how is that? How's the legacy? You have to be proud of something like that, right? Your family has owned this. A lot of ranchers take pride in the fact that this fifth generation rancher, we've owned this land for, 150 years. You have a hat company in New Jersey.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme. Hats from New Jersey doesn't make any sense, right? But yeah, I'm very excited about the fifth generation. My sons have joined, so that's a dream come true for me. Didn't expect that, so that was an added bonus to doing it.
Well, it's thanks to your son Nick that we're even here, right?
That's right.
So
that's right.
He reached out to us, and we've talked over the last year or so, and we've grown a relationship, and he invited us out here, and we really appreciate it. It's really cool to get a chance to see this side of the business. I've been familiar with the Serratelli name for years now. My first silver belly was a Serratelli because I tell this all the time. I didn't know if I wanted a silver belly, and I thought, okay, well, this is in my budget to see if I can try it, right? And I tried it, and I loved it. And as a matter of fact, it was a 6X, and it was one of the better 6Xs I've ever seen.
Oh, glad to hear that.
It beat the pants off of the Stetson Resistol equivalent 6X that we were selling at Cavender's at the time, and I would always point customers to it because Cavender's was carrying Serratelli at the time. They had, especially, we were in Austin, and they actually had Serratelli hats, branded hats then. But that's not the case anymore, I don't think.
No, we provide their private label.
Okay. I didn't want to go there. I wasn't sure if you were allowed to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So
the Cavender's brand we prepare their private label brand hats.
Yeah, so
we're
if
proud
you guys
to do that.
Yeah, if you guys are getting, Cavender's brand hat, especially or felt for sure, it's coming from right here in New Jersey.
It is. I mean, essentially, people have been wearing Serratelli for many generations because we were providing the raw materials. Our legacy is that we were providing raw materials to all of the other hat companies. So even though our name was not on the hat, we were providing the materials that were making the hats at other companies.
Let's get into that a little bit because, as you said, you were, a raw material facility, and then you moved into hats. So let's talk about that. When did you take over management here at Serratelli?
1984.
1984.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us a little bit about that. How'd that happen?
Well, it was post Urban Cowboy.
Right.
And the industry had died. A lot of folks went out of business. And some that didn't decided that it was time to retire. And the previous generation, my dad decided that it was his time. And that's not kind of my vision. I had kind of hoped to be the fourth generation to come into the raw material business. And so I was given an opportunity over the course of a year to resurrect the business. And that's how it started.
So he made all his money off of Urban Cowboy and said, "That's it, I'm retired."
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We were talking at dinner last night though.
Yeah.
When there's the New Jersey again.
Yeah, that we're not piping that in. That is actually an ambulance going by.
So we were talking at dinner last night, and you told me that like there wasn't even there was no power to the building or something. What was the?
Oh yeah,
it was all closed down.
Well, yeah, my dad was retiring, so he closed down the facility, which you lock it down, right? You shut off the electric. The sprinklers that
That's what it
have
was, the sprinklers.
antifreeze in them or water are now drained, right? So there was not even heat in the building when I was given the opportunity. So, but we came to an agreement where I had some time to try to figure out how to get the business back up again, because it wasn't easy, because nobody really needed your raw materials, because a lot of the companies would only come to us when they needed excess of their own production.
Right.
So that created a challenge for me as well.
You basically saved a legacy, right? So this was at the time a 100-year-old company that was about to go out of business completely,
right.
And you came in and brought it back.
Well, that's a nice thing to say. Thank you. But that's not what it felt like at the time. I was trying to create a job for myself and a future.
I like the legacy part. I understand,
Yeah.
Wanting to provide for your family and
Exactly.
turning this into a business again. But
Yeah.
I think a 150-year legacy, I think it speaks louder.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I do. And it was funny because, at the time, I really didn't know where to start. Because the business was closed.
Right.
People knew my dad was retired, and now I'm getting on the phone and I'm calling his old clients trying to figure out where I'd fit in.
Did you even know how to run the machine? I mean, did you
Yes.
have a sense of the business? So you knew what you were doing. It wasn't like, all right, how do I get the manual out and how do I turn this thing on?
No, it's a good point. No, I was coming down here from the time I was 6 years old,
Okay.
meaning coming down to the plant to learn how to prepare hatter's fur,
Right.
which is, basically I know how to grade skins and I know how to cut the fur, chemically treat the fibers and remove them from the skin. That's what I know how to do.
Okay.
That's my trade.
And this is the same building.
It is.
It looks pretty new from the outside, and especially from what you can see, probably on the other side of these cameras. But this building itself has been in. How long has this been the Serratelli factory?
Since the 50s, mid-50s.
Since the 50s. All right. But you've always been in New Jersey for the 150 years, just somewhere else.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Very interesting. All right. So 1984, Urban Cowboy's done. You decide we're going to resurrect this. How long did it take you to, I guess, become profitable? Ooh. And I guess how long, your dad gave you a certain amount of time, right?
Right.
To start the business.
A certain amount of time, not money.
Did you meet? Well, no, he was probably buying his boat, right?
Yeah, somewhere. I don't know where he was. Couldn't find him.
So did you meet your deadline that he gave you?
By the skin of my teeth.
Really?
Yeah, by the skin of my teeth. So I was lucky. I had a random call from a sorter selector. So when you, kind of stepping back for a second, when you give things to the poor, okay, like when you go to a Salvation Army box, or you see those boxes at the churches, right? And you put your clothes in there, 85% of what you put in there is actually sorted out and sent to garbage. Only 15% is actually usable. And one of the items that was part of the 85% were old fur coats from the hippie days. Huh. So someone randomly looked us up, saw that we were in textile fibers, right? Because hatter's fur and textile fibers, pretty similar. It's just how you treat the fiber. And they called, and I just happened to answer the phone. And the guy's like, hey, would you like to buy old fur coats? And I thought, no, why are you calling me? And then I thought, whoa. I called the guy. Fortunately, I took his name and number. And, a couple days later, I called him back and I said, you know what? Can I pick up some? I want to try something with them. Because I had no money to go out and buy skins or, and actually create my own fur from it. Because the difference between where I was at and what my dad did, my dad was a contractor. So companies would send him the skins, and he was paid contract labor to chemically treat the fibers and remove the skin. So he never actually took ownership of the fur. So in the situation I was in now, no one needed to send me skins because they were just utilizing their own resources, right? Their internal resources. So I had to create kind of a demand for it. And one of the things to do my vision was to be a just-in-time JIT provider of raw materials.
What does that mean? Explain that to me a little bit.
So I felt that if I could hold the inventory that the hat companies that existed at the time would buy as they need and would realize that they didn't have to put all that money in their own inventory, that I would be their bank, sort of say.
Okay.
Right?
All right. That's pretty interesting.
I didn't have the money.
And how did that work for you?
Oh, it was hard.
Yeah.
I was given a lot of, because my dad was in the business, right? So, and I was pitching, I flew around the country and I was pitching the hat company owners that could utilize the fur, right? Not a lot, under 5, possible customers. They basically very nicely and diplomatically said, that's not happening. Go find yourself something else to do because that's not going to be the case with us. And I got that over and over. I got the door slammed in my face a few times, because they were sitting on so much inventory from Urban Cowboy that even walking in and having a conversation was kind of a waste of time from their perspective, not from mine, because I was a young man trying to create a career.
Well, what was the defining moment when it kind of changed from like it's a struggle now, okay, it's real, it's working?
So I took the old fur coats, and I prepared fur from the coats, and I sent it around, knowing it would probably be tossed in the garbage. But one hat company actually did not toss it in the garbage and made a hat out of it and said it was outstanding. The reason it was outstanding is because coat grade. Normally, the skins used for hat grade are the lowest grade. So it made a phenomenal hat at a low price because I wasn't buying the skins now. Remember, I was literally getting the coats either for free or for freight or at a minimum level of cost. And I would convert it into fur and I would sell it to the hat companies. So I really didn't have much cost of goods. So I was profitable.
So just out of luck, you were able to get a better quality fur than... So these are bodies that are made today, and are these still the lowest grade, or are you talking about back in the day hats were made of the lowest grade?
No, they're still made of the lowest grade.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah. Why is that? Is it because you don't need a high grade to make a hat, or what's the reason behind that?
Cost.
Yeah.
It's strictly cost.
Well, I mean, hats are really expensive.
You would
think that cost wasn't an issue.
Well, I think the raw material, right, that comes, the rabbit skins that come either from slaughterhouses or wherever, okay, are much more expensive now than they were then because there's not as much supply that there was then, right? Because back in the day, people were using the skins to make like blankets and clothing and coats, but that kind of diminished. So therefore there wasn't as much demand, but you still had a market for the hats. So in order to do that, you keep a market alive, but you were going to pay a premium for it.
What was the average cost of maybe a 10X, or I guess today's 10X equivalent back in the 80s?
The hat or the skin?
The hat.
Oh. Well, I wasn't in the hat market then. I was providing the raw materials, so I didn't know what the prices were.
Okay. At some point, you changed from just providing raw materials to you started making your own cones. Is that right or no?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the business, I was very fortunate in my timing, right? So I had the situation where the one hat company tried the coat fur, right, which is hatter's fur, and loved it, and then gave me a commitment, which was a blessing. And then from that, I needed to develop more business because it wasn't enough to sustain, right? So from there, I actually started buying my own skins, and doing the process, chemically treating the fibers, removing it from the skin, and started selling the fur from my own skins. So I had coat fur, and then I had fur from my skins, rabbit skins and beaver skins. And I found the niche in the market was for us to do the most difficult things, because the other companies' inventories were depleting now, right? Because Urban Cowboy was over. They were depleting their inventory. It was now 86, 87. And they didn't want to make the hard furs, the difficult, the challenging furs, which were the wild furs, which was beaver. So we became known as being a quality house because we were making the best, right? So you went to Serratelli and said, I need beaver. I need bleached beaver. I need hare's fur. Like, these are specialty furs that you wouldn't be able to make necessarily yourself or do it the way we would do it, right? Because we were doing it in small quantities and we could give it the kind of care and attention it needed. Mm-hmm. And so we became known for that. So we started doing the specialty items.
So what was, I guess, the most popular blend back then? Was it the beaver rabbit blend, or was it all beaver? What was the most kind of popular cones you were making? The
most popular was with wild rabbit and domesticated rabbit. So domesticated would be, grown, for meat at farms, and the other would be wild, which, not to get too graphic, but were shot, right? Mm-hmm. Right, because they're living off the greens, right? And so there was a strong fiber, and that was considered tremendous. Like, that was that.
So wild rabbit, is a better quality than a farm
domestic. Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Because fine, they're just trying to grow it, right? To process it. I don't want to say the word kill it, but in a shorter period of time than the wild, right? The wilds are running for a whole year or season, maybe not 12 months, but a season, right? So what's a season? Winter. So it's several months, depending on the country it's coming from, right? If it's coming from like Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, right? Which are where these come from. It provides a stronger fiber. Whereas the other ones, maybe 30 days, 60 days, because rabbits obviously multiply quick. Mm-hmm. So it's not the same. Fiber's weaker.
This is so interesting that you were actually making the hat bodies before you started making the hats. I have tons of questions. First of all would be, how did you grade your hat bodies as they went out? So what is this? Tell me what this is right here. What are we looking at?
So this is 100% rabbit, domesticated rabbit.
So domestic rabbit, what would the grade on this be?
When you say grade,
X factor, because this is what everybody knows, right? Everybody knows the X factor,
right?
And that's how they associate that. But when they come from a body manufacturer, they're not necessarily the same grade as they come out of a full production hat, right?
No.
Okay.
So there is no industry standard,
right? And that's a huge problem, in my opinion.
It is. Right, depending on what side of it you're on.
Yeah.
Right, but it is a huge problem because when people go to the store, they don't understand the difference. Right, so what they eventually do is they come up to their own conclusion by touching and feeling, and we hope they do that because then we know we'll win. But yeah, I mean, I would say this body, depending on the hat company, could be anywhere from a 4 to a 6X. Could be a 4X or 5X or 6, depending on the company.
And so 4, 5, or 6, and that's all rabbit?
Yeah.
Okay. But is there a standard, I guess, from the fur body manufacturers? Do they have their own standard? I know, obviously, the hat manufacturers use their own whatever they want as an X factor, but is there an industry standard for body manufacturers?
No.
Really?
No. The body manufacturer decides what his own X factor will be, and then he sells it that way to the finishers, right? Because most of the hat companies here are finishers, right? They finish the hat and they receive the body. So,
okay, that's an interesting kind of way to look at that. And I've heard you mention finishers before. So hat makers nowadays are, in your opinion, finishers.
They're finishers, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, because back in the day, when hat companies would make their own hat, well, it would start with the fur, right? So they would buy their own skins, right? And they would cut their own fur. And that was called a cutting plant. And then after the cutting plant was the back shop, which would process the fur into cones or bodies, if you will, both. And then after the back shop, it goes to the front shop or finishing plant. So front shop and finishing are the same. They take a body and they shape it and sand it and finish it to whatever style or quality or color that there is in part of their line.
So we're looking at 1980, 88, something like that, for when you started producing bodies?
1989. Yeah, 1989 is when I decided to go into the body business.
There was a big boom happening in that time frame, right? Because I remember you had Garth Brooks, you had Pure Country, the movie, you had 8 Seconds, the movie.
Yeah,
so
sure.
There were, that was the boom I remember.
Yeah,
because I was
you're right.
I was way too young when Urban Cowboy or what was the other one?
Urban Cowboy. I don't remember I'm young too on that one. I only remember Urban Cowboy. So yeah, I'm kind of with you.
Okay.
A little ahead.
Right.
But yeah, so Garth Brooks, what you're talking about, I believe started 90.
Okay.
91 maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably where I remember it, right? It was early 90s,
that's true.
right? 91, 93, something like that.
That's what it was. Yeah, so I decided to, so I was selling the coat fur, right? Then I started selling the fur from my own skins. And then I was able to, because now the just-in-time thing that I told you about earlier in the show, now the other hat companies had depleted their inventory levels so much so that now they were entertaining other items for me. So I was able to sell them the skins. So it was coat fur, it was my fur, and then it was skins so they could cut their own fur. And then it grew, and it was a nice, now I had a business, basically. I'd resurrected it, I guess you're saying, continuing the legacy. That's the really nice way of saying it. Well, I was just trying to make a living.
Right.
Then I decided that I needed to grow it a little bit more because I wasn't feeling like I was kind of in control of my future. So I had an opportunity come to me through a skin provider to introduce me to a company that could make bodies, but the unique part would be from our fur. So I thought, God, that sounds so cool. But historically, generationally, not in my family, but just generations before, had tried to make hat bodies for American consumption, and it failed. So that was a big concern because we are the only country that has certain specifications for our hats compared to like Mexico. You might think, well, they have a cowboy hat, it's the same. No, it's not. You might think, well, South America does too, or Argentina. They look the same, but they're not the same. They are not the same specs. So the manufacturers in those countries that make hats don't make hats that we can sell here.
Really?
Yeah.
You see a lot of hats coming out of Mexico right now.
Straws.
Well, felts even too, right? So a lot of wool.
Wool.
Yeah.
Mostly wool because they have not perfected the finishing the way the American market wants it. That's
very true. So what is the difference between a body for American consumption versus so what makes it so different and so hard to do?
The way the fur is distributed from the tip to the brim.
Okay.
So if you take body, do it like this, right? And you actually feel it like this. You can feel the weight difference from the tip here.
Yes.
It varies according to small, medium, large, extra large. And the most important thing also is the shellac. The shellac has to be properly put in to the body. Very tricky to do that. It's got to be uniformly put in. And if it's not, it creates a knockdown. And the bodies are very expensive. So if you have a knockdown, that's a loss that has to be factored in to the hats that you actually sell.
So that's kind of an industry term. Can you explain what knockdown is for us?
Reject.
Seconds. All right.
Yeah, I guess seconds.
What's the term? Where's that word come from?
Knockdown.
Mm-hmm.
Because it would be knocked down off the. So when bodies are made, they're made in a forming machine, so centrifuge, right? Mm-hmm. So it would be knocked down because it wasn't any good. So they would just knock
okay.
it down.
Right.
Yeah. So.
You can definitely feel though this is much stiffer out here, or
Yeah.
thicker,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
thicker
It's,
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you should feel that, and absolutely, it's more there's more higher degree of shellac in the brim than in the crown. Crowns tend to be tighter than the brim.
Tighter, as in a tighter
Felted.
So the interlocking fur, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, just think about it logically, right? The most fur hits here, and then as it comes down, right, it kind of stretches out.
So then
It is thicker.
that means they have to put more shellac out here in order to keep it stiff, or
That means that, so for the American market, they want the brim harder than the crown.
okay.
So maybe you're familiar with and I don't know if this is still a thing, but it was a thing in my day where you'd make the crown pop.
Yeah.
That was key.
I've seen that only on straw.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I actually saw you do it yesterday on a hat, and I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. So
Oh, yeah, that's how
on
I
a
check
felt.
quality.
Yeah.
That's how I know if they've put enough shellac and if it's tight, because it'll pop back out.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, it's a trick that they use, and you'll pinch here, and it'll make this pop sound, right? And they do it on straws to see if the body's good and if they put enough lacquer on it or whatever.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'd never seen anybody actually do it with a felt. I didn't even know you could do it with a felt, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's the trick you used back in the day.
I guess it's a trick. It's just a kind of a quality thing. To make sure it was done right.
Right.
That's what I would do. I still do it in my own factory to make sure everything's, good.
So what's the trick to, I guess, getting a good quality hat, right? So everybody wants to know, what's the difference in quality? I don't understand this 6X, 5X, 4X, 100X, 1000X, whatever. What's the trick, right? What should these people be looking for if they want to go out and find a good hat?
I think, you have to, first of all, you have to trust the brand, whatever brand you're buying. And I think you have to go according to the feel. And I think you have to educate yourself. I think you have to go to the store, and I think you have to try every brand and feel the hats, right? And have them steamed and see if there's resilience to know if it's a good blend.
Okay. All right. Back to early 90s, right? So 90s. You're making bodies. What happens next?
Well, so it was very difficult to make bodies. I had to bring the knowledge from the U.S. market down to the factory I had a joint venture with to make bodies out of my fur. So I would ship my fur, right, to South America, and then they would take the bodies according to the blends that we agreed to make, right? So we made our own blends. That's how I learned. That was a great learning experience because I learned how to blend the different, I learned the alchemy of how to blend furs together, which is huge because they affect each other differently. And you don't even think about that. You hear, they put wild with domestic. Okay, so they throw it in there and they make a hat. It's not the way it is. Depending on where the fur is from and how much fur you put in, right, it affects the other fur. And it could make it feel really great or it could make it feel really bad. And then there's the different cuts of fur. So people don't realize that, by trade, I'm a fur cutter. So when I cut the skins according to sides, and the sides obviously are the belly, and the center is the back. But I would separate that because the belly fur is finer, makes nicer, and the back fur doesn't because it's more coarse and long. A lot of people don't realize all those factors that go into it, and that really does affect the way the hat feels. So I learned all that by becoming a body maker, right? And so that was really interesting for me to learn how to blend the wild with the domesticated rabbit and then introduce beaver. So I was able to do it, and it was a long, drawn-out process. I'm making it seem easy right now in this story.
Sure.
But it was very scary, and it could have ruined me because it was very challenging. And keeping in mind, right, so now we're outside the country, we're making a hat body for the American market when everyone else has failed. So now everything's kind of against me, right? Even though I brought the knowledge down, right, I'm not down there every single day, right? So I had to trust people I had the joint venture with, the JV. And so, we were trying it and testing it. And we ended up, obviously, it worked. But at the beginning, it was an interesting story. So I had made my first shipment, right? So I'd sent the fur down. It's like a big deal at the time for me to send the fur down, trusting, because remember, I'm not getting paid for it. I'm shipping it out of the country. And now I'm going to make hat bodies out of that based on my own mixtures. And so, and we had done tests and samples, and we're like, okay, we're ready to go. We got this. Let's go. And so the first shipment comes in, and I bring it in air because of how expensive, you want to turn the money, how expensive the product is. So you want to bring the raw materials in by air so that you can ship them and get paid sooner than if it came in by boat, because boat takes 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what country you're bringing it in from. So anyway, I bring it into JFK Airport, and my wife and I decide, you know what? We're going to make a date night out of it. We're going to go rent a U-Haul truck, okay? And we're going to drive to JFK, right? We're going to pick it up. Like, how hard could this be, right? It was a horror show. It was like Bonfire of the Vanities. We literally go with the truck and with my wife to the airport. You go into a warehouse, or kind of a cage, actually, that you get buzzed into, and you sit and wait with all these trucker guys, and there's no women around. Okay, there's no women. So it's like, and my wife's there, and it was not comfortable. We finally, after a lot of time, get the shipment. We load it into the truck, and we start leaving the airport. And as we go, we didn't realize that you couldn't get on the LIE, Long Island Expressway, the Belt Parkway. The Belt Parkway. Couldn't get on the Belt Parkway with a truck. This was bad. So there's the Belt Parkway, and we're coming out of the airport. Now we're going down. And it felt like we were going down into a dungeon. And now we're in, I think it's the Bronx. Pretty sure it's the Bronx. And it wasn't good. Wasn't good at all. We get to like the second light. All of a sudden, the back of the truck door flies open. There's 3 guys who came running. My wife starts screaming. She saw 3 guys running from the corner, and one had crutches. She said the crutches fell to the side. They run to the truck. They lift up. She screams, they're coming in the truck. Uh-huh. I slam on the gas. This is totally true. And I just fly. Thank God they flew out of the truck. I was like, oh my God. And I'm with a woman, right? I'm alone. I mean, I'm a guy, girl. It's like, this is bad. It's just really bad, 3 guys. And I actually end up going, so you can picture your mind. Now I'm flying, and I decide, because I don't want to stop the truck. So I go onto the sidewalk, and I'm going on the sidewalk with this truck. I mean, this was crazy. My wife's screaming, right? I'm screaming at her, take off your jewelry, take off your watch. We're going to get killed. And then I see a cop, or police officer. So I pull over. He could care less. Yeah. They were like, so what? And I'm like,
did you die?
Internally, I think I did. I was scared out of my mind.
That's what the cops say, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. So I'm like, where's the Belt Parkway? They're like, up there. I'm like, I know. How do I get up there? I need a ramp. Can you lift me up there? But anyway, so we ended up ultimately finding the Belt Parkway and getting on, but we were really shaken up. Wow. I mean, we were a mess.
And so, I mean, I'm sure it's probably a ton of money worth of hats in the back of that
thing.
It was.
Well, yeah, especially to me at the time. It was a lot of money. I think it was around $35,000. And items sold. I had to deliver them the next day to the customer. Fortunately, it was local. And by the way, they weren't any good.
They were not any good.
No, they were not any good. But the customer, to encourage me to continue, because he knew how much effort that I'd been putting into this, he cut me a check and patted me on the back and said, don't worry, I will make hats out of these. Just go do it again. And that was kind of the way it went. Kind of tells you about the industry too.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of I don't want to say good old boys network, but it kind of is, right? The Western industry is, everybody kind of knows everybody. Everybody's been doing this a very long time. Yeah. And so it's kind of like a good old boys network.
I guess. I mean, I think it's changed a bit. I'd like to think it's not as much as what you said, because when you're not in it, you feel, you know it, right? So I was not really in it. So I can say that the good old boys, is it a good old boys network, or is it just kind of, we don't want anybody new to disrupt the status quo.
And what do you think?
That,
Yeah.
yeah, I was not welcomed. Let's put it that way. When I went in, you would think because, we had brought bodies in, that now this would be a great thing. And it ultimately was. But it was also taken as a threat, right? Because now there's somebody new in town that has, not literally, but figuratively, that can provide a hat body, right? So
Right.
I could now, so think about it, right? If you made your own hat bodies,
Oh, yeah.
you didn't like that. But the guys that couldn't make their own hat bodies, that were reliant on others, now could grow. So now they could really compete with the people that could make the hat bodies. So that was a big deal.
Well, and that's kind of changed. I don't know if there's anybody but, well, I mean, maybe there's only one company left making, bodies and hats, right? So it used to have Stetson Resistol. They had a body manufacturing plant. They don't have that anymore. So now everybody's getting kind of from the same source for the most part.
For the most part, yeah. Everybody's going to the same sources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think that has changed the industry, and what do you think of that, where now everybody's just a finisher, right?
Well, in our case, I feel like we still have a competitive advantage because of our legacy of raw material, right? So we have our own mixtures. We have our own formulas that we like to provide. But I do think everyone's getting it from the same place makes it a little bit challenging, right? Because now they have the same products that they're putting out there. And now that X factor that you're talking about is even more difficult to really figure out.
Well, let's talk about that for real quick, about the blend, right? So when you told me, you had to figure out your blend and what matches up, right? Whether it's wild hair and how much of this and how much of that, I kind of look at it like reading a cookbook, right? You have a recipe. You need this amount of this and this amount of that. And so you came up with that. Am I right? Is that how that kind of works? Is it a recipe for a blend?
So initially I did, but after Garth Brooks happened, the demand was extremely strong. And so the companies that were making their own bodies needed to purchase the excess they needed to fill orders elsewhere. So there really wasn't much elsewhere, right? So they had to come to me, right? Or to our company at the time. So they gave me their mixtures to make for them, their recipe, as you say. So I had my recipes, and then I had the recipes of clients under exclusivity to make that.
Okay. And are you still using your own recipe or your own blend when you order bodies?
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So, and is it the same kind of blend? Do you have to look at that over again throughout time?
Yeah, you do. You have to, because the quality of the fibers is not the same as it was when I started. They've diminished.
Really?
Yeah, it's not even. We thought when I started the qualities were not great. Now I look back and I'm putting on my hats from, when I started making hats. I'm leaning towards those hats because even though we make good hats today, it's not the quality that it used to be. But you can say that about anything.
You can, but we always talk about this. If you're out working as a hat shaper, you'll get one of these 20x resistols come across, or not 20x, I'm sorry, like a 5x resistol that'll come across your table from the early 80s, and it's just this fantastic feeling hat. It might be soft, but I mean, it just has this really good finish on it. It feels like a quality hat. This hat that's behind you today, I don't know what that was, but it's an old American from the 1994, I think, right?
Yeah, 1994.
And that's one of the most fantastic hats I've ever felt. I mean, this
was
nice.
Our formula.
Is it?
Yeah, this was wild. This is all wild rabbit, Argentinian wild rabbit fur that we provided for American Hat. That was the previous owners that we provided it to. And they did a great job finishing it. And, truth be told is that when the fur is good, you don't have to finish it that much. It's not that hard because it almost lends itself, you feel it, to kind of a soft, supple feel. And that's what this is. I mean, this hat's 31 years old, right? So this hat was just a little side interesting tidbit. American made this for me when my first son was born, and it's got my son's name in it and his year of birth. So, and I think that was a really, amazing thing to do for somebody
absolutely.
at the time.
So that was his first hat?
Yeah, it was his first hat. Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, so I saved it.
So you got a lot of hats back here, and actually not all of them are up there, but this is your personal collection. This is your personal hat rack.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, really, it is. Yeah,
it's
hats I'm proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of hats.
And some of them I've basically worked with my son we collaborated together, and also with the provider of the raw materials to kind of celebrate, the legacy of the fact that, in the raw materials I've been dealing. So the people that make our bodies now used to be my customers, and now I'm their customer.
Well, they were your customer. What were they doing at the time? Like, you were selling them just fur and they were felting it? Or?
Yeah, they were. Okay. Yeah, they were providing bodies. At the time, they were doing dress hats. They weren't supplying the American market, and then later they started to. So I was the first one to come on the scene in the United States to successfully make Western hat bodies for this market first. After that, another company came in about 3 years later to the market, and then we competed head to head. So yeah, so there was just two of us.
And at what point did you start making finished hats?
So at the end of the trend, the Garth Brooks trend lasted a very long time, and then when he decided to retire, it was kind of like, okay, what's the next step here? What's the next kind of what's my future look like? So I had to make a decision of what to do. My competitor, it was interesting, right? So I was in my 20s, and my competitor was in his 70s. So he just retired. And then I decided, it was always like my great-grandfather's dream to have our name become a brand and put it in a hat. And I thought, I'd really like to set up my own hat company because I thought that would be tremendous. Because keeping in mind, right, I had, I was the grocery store for all the other hatters, right? So they came here to buy their skins, their bodies, their fur, right? So I thought, this is tremendous. I was supplying all of them, so I had everything. And I knew the market was going to be much more condensed because now the Garth Brooks craze is over. And I thought, I can sell less volume, right? But I can offset it by making my own hats, by making up that margin. So we actually, we kind of had a plan that we were going to just make high-end hats, but that wasn't realistic. We were going to make 10x up because we thought we're going to do what we did in the raw materials. We provided the specialty furs. We're going to do the high-end hats, but that was not going to happen because I soon learned that the hat market, when a retailer would leave a key brand, sometimes the key brands might retaliate and not want to sell them the full line or sell them part of the line. So if I came in and sold you, let's say you're on a chain of stores and you said, I really like these hats. I'm going to buy your 10X, 20X, 40, 100. And you're just going to buy the 2, 3s, and 4s, 5s somewhere else. Well, when you went back to that somewhere else, they said, go over there if you want to buy from that person. So that was kind of a big deal. I had a learning curve there where I realized, now I have to make, lower quality hats. I have to make, 8s and 6s and 5s and 4s and 3s and even wool. And I didn't want to do that. That wasn't the plan at the time. So the plan had to be rewritten so that we could provide a full line of felt hats, meaning wool and fur felt.
That's interesting. I never even thought about that. So you have to be able to provide what your customer needs, obviously. I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
You have to be a full service provider, right? So you come to me, you have to be able to sit with me and write everything. Meaning my line has to be able to take care of all of your retail needs.
Yeah. And that's just something I never thought of. But I it makes plenty of sense after you explain it.
I didn't think of it either. It was learning curve.
Absolutely.
Just an idea too, straws, throwing that in.
Yeah.
Paisley,
Yeah.
brand, Cinch and Cool Girl. But keep going.
There's a whole lot of stuff. Had a long career.
So it was kind of, I don't know, what do I want to say? It wasn't devastating, but it was
eye-opening.
it was eye-opening, right?
Yeah.
So and you
Yeah.
then you had to change your game plan completely.
Completely.
First of all, did you know what you were getting into when you started making hats? And then did you have the right equipment to kind of shift gears and also make wool and also make the lower qualities and all of these things?
So it was a complete game changer, and not in a positive way at the beginning because we really didn't see this coming. But we needed to make the change because the salesman, so we had, when we announced that we were going to become a hat company, we had a lot of relationships with the back ends of hat companies, not the sales side, right? Because we were the ones providing the raw materials. So we knew everyone in back shops, the finishers. We didn't know salespeople. So we crossed a bridge to meet salespeople from various hat companies, and they left those companies to come to us. So they needed it as well to support themselves. So we needed not only to have a full line of felts, but we needed straws. So we had to become a full-service Western hat company. And to us at that time, it was wool, fur, and straw, which we did. We had no choice.
Were you making your own straw in-house at the time, or?
No, we've never made straw.
Never made straw?
No, I've always had a third party make the straw, but they still would sell it with our brand on it.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some of these hats that are behind you here, because you recently created a hat that kind of had everyone talking last year around NFR. What did you call that hat?
The 1878.
Is this one here? Is this the prototype?
This is it, yes. The 1878. The finest hat ever made, finest material. So it was a collaboration between our family and the family of our body supplier.
Okay.
So my son Nick came up with an idea that we should collaborate and put our heads together because it would be really interesting to customers to based on our history together and figuring out the alchemy of the different furs to create hats that were just different. Mm-hmm. So we created the exotics line.
And so the
1878, which is the year my great-grandfather started the company.
And it comes with a kind of a special buckle, and there's only 5 of them.
So, there's only going to be 5.
Only going to be 5.
They're right. So one for each generation, and it's numbered. Mm-hmm. Okay, and it comes in a beaver tail skin carrying case. Mm-hmm. It's delivered by 2 armed guards. Yeah, it's true. Yep, absolutely. It is the finest of everything. It's got a white deerskin sweatband. It's got an embroidered liner. The liner is the coat of arms from our family. Mm-hmm. It's woven. I mean, it's pretty sick. It's just pretty sick.
This is the prototype, and so is this the deerskin in it?
It is.
Well?
It is.
It's very soft.
Oh, it's
and
great.
It's very thin.
Once you wear that, you just question, why am I wearing anything else?
Really?
You just want to.
And this is your personal hat.
Yeah.
One of 5.
One of 5. Yeah. So yeah, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it's very cool.
So this is made from belly fur and also from chinchilla. So you can only put so much of the exotic furs with beaver before it will not feel right. Mm-hmm. So this has approximately 5% of chinchilla in the mixture. And you really can feel it. I mean, it's got a supple feel. And if you put a pure next to this, you'd feel it. You'd feel the difference. But it's a fabulous hat, and it's beautiful. I don't know if you can see on the camera. the 1878 inside.
We'll get Lorena to get some B-roll of this.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty sick, pretty cool. So
we'll roll it in here. So what's the difference? Tell us. This is the most expensive hat ever made. It's armed guards deliver it, but it's chinchilla and beaver. How is this different than a Stetson 1000X?
So this is the fur is actually made from belly, and theirs isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I don't believe they use that. Look, I'll say that as a disclaimer.
Okay.
And that is a much more fine belly fur because it's cold.
Sure.
Right. I mean, so you buy from a cold climate, the fibers are generally better for the hats.
So how does somebody get on the list for this? If they're only making 5, right? You're going to get 1, right? I'm assuming.
I don't think I can afford it.
How does somebody get on the list for this?
They need to contact customer service and let us know they're interested, and then they would be put on a list for it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And then when's the time frame that you're going to roll these out? You're going to have start making these hats.
Well, we're hoping to do that towards the end of this year.
Okay. What are we talking about price wise?
Oh, probably north of 30.
30,000.
Yeah, $30,000. Yeah.
So I heard.
And believe me, it's a steal.
It's
for
a
what's
steal,
in it.
huh?
Believe me, for what's in it, it's a steal. It's cost a lot more than that.
Interesting. I hope to see it on your social media because I want to know. I want to know who's buying a $30,000 hat.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I will be surprised.
Just off our conversations, not yours and mine, but my sons and stuff, and people that we've talked to, we've had interest.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have.
It's crazy. They just want it to have it.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't know why you're only doing 5. I mean, you should probably
Well,
if you have that
just
much
one
interest.
for each generation. So
Yeah.
we'd like to just release one a year. Just it makes it's so much more special.
Okay, so over the next 5 years, you're going to release.
Well, 4, right? We did 1, so 4 more years.
All right.
So
Interesting.
yeah.
All right, let's talk about where you're currently at, right? So we talked earlier about your presence in Texas being mostly private label stuff. And so now Serratelli is known for being a private label supplier. You supply a lot of companies hats and
Sure.
and not so many. I don't know what's the percentage, Serratelli branded or private label branded? What's the most?
I would say 60-40.
60-40.
60-40 private label.
So 60% private label.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's a lot.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And
I know.
now we're looking to show everybody Serratelli next. That's our
Right.
next move.
Right. Well, we don't want to give up.
Not
private
mine.
label. We're not give that up, but we do want to basically grow our brand.
All right.
So we're kind of in that direction now.
So you've picked up some athletes as sponsors, and is that in an attempt to, I don't want to say rebrand, but make people aware of the brand?
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yes, it is. It's to grow, make people more aware. So I spent a lot of time, because of the transitions of the hat industry over the years that I was running the company, there was a lot of changes. I mean, if you step back for a second, and I'll come back to your question, not to avoid it, but once we did the full line, right, then the next step was licensing. So we went into licensing. So that was another phase.
How does that work? What does that mean?
So we were licensing Cinch, the Cinch brand of apparel.
So you were doing their hats?
Yeah, we
Okay.
did. We did a deal with them. We had a royalty agreement, and we did Cinch hats. We did Cruel Girl hats for women, obviously. We also at the time had Brad Paisley. So that was kind of another phase of the industry, right, where that was popular to do. Not just with us, others did that kind of thing as well. And then that ended, So you kind of kept going through phases. And then the economy had a problem in 2008. People
Was
didn't
that
have
the
any
housing?
money. Yeah.
The housing
Yeah.
market crash.
Yeah. And nobody had any money.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. So then we went into affordable hats, right? We had to make our hats We were making more less expensive hats so that we were giving customers something to buy when they want to buy something to feel good, but they didn't have a lot of money to spend. So we did that as well. So that was another kind of transition for us. So I found that the next step was private label, because the retailers had done, the other brands, right? They had done like the Cinch and Cruel Girls kind of thing. And they had tried, even Wrangler had hats for a while, right? So they had all of these different brands. And then they finally said, you know what, we want to build up our own brand. So that was an opening for us. And not a lot of hat companies really were interested in that, because it was going to devalue their brand. Because that's what it does, right? It devalues your own brand. So I pursued it and grew that business.
So you think it devalues your brand?
Certainly, devalues anybody's brand that you're doing it.
Interesting. And I guess what's the trade-off, right? So you're getting something for devaluing your brand. You're getting volume. And
right. So you end up, the reason it devalues your brand, just to be clear, is that now they get the benefit of our legacy of raw materials with their name on it, okay? And they don't need to have it say Serratelli brand.
Right.
Big difference. So, and that, for me, with the transitions that I just laid out, that was the next step, private label. It made sense. And quite frankly, I felt that I really needed to do that in order to, keep my people employed.
How do you feel about it in retrospect?
It was the right thing to do. At the time, it was the right thing to do. I don't have regrets.
No regrets.
No.
All right.
Just
good.
forward.
Good. So what's the next step?
So the next step is to continue that, because we do it well and we're going to continue to do it better. But at the same time, we're also going to grow our brand. We're going to put emphasis on that. And then if they would like to bring in our brand as well, they'll have that opportunity to do that. But they certainly don't have to. They can just continue to grow with the private label, and we're going to continue to keep options for them as well. We're not going to cut it back. That's something that we want to continue to grow. We have the capacity. Maybe that's the point. We have the capacity to grow.
Let's talk about, brand ambassadors. So Rocker was the biggest one.
Rocker Steiner, yeah. Yeah, great people, father, son, multi-generational. We're just, synergy is great. Dealing with them has been tremendous. And I love their story. They like our story. So I think it's just a really good relationship for us. And it's been a big help. And they've been really supportive in what they've done for us. And we also have several rodeo athletes now. I think we have a dozen. We're up to a dozen. You can check on the Instagram. We have a separate category for it. And that's helping. There's no question that that's helping. It's going to take time. We're not in a rush. We have a lot of time.
You've been doing it 150 years, so...
Yeah. And we now have another generation. Yeah. Another generation now that's taken interest in the business. So it's going to continue. I'm very excited about that.
So are there any plans to do a Rocker hat? Like
I don't know if I can tell you that.
No, really?
I'm not sure I should even go down that road.
Really? Okay, interesting.
But I'd say maybe.
Maybe. All right.
Good chance.
Now, does that kind of come into that licensing thing where you license a hat? We were talking about earlier.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
It wasn't negative. Mm-hmm. It was just something that was the trend at the time. Yeah, when you own, I think something really important to a multi-generational family business is you must change with the times. It's very fortunate if you don't have to. I mean, if you don't have to, certainly don't, and that's a great position to be in. But my experience, as someone who started out with coat fur to a hat line, right? I have had to change to survive. I haven't really had the option of deciding to stay in one particular position. So
let's talk about COVID though, because that's a change, and
big change.
What it's done to the Western industry, it's probably one of the longest lasting Western booms in the last 50 years.
Absolutely.
It's also driven a price increase that is probably the largest price increase,
Terrible, yeah.
in the last 50 years. Yeah. What does that do to your business? One, I guess the cost of raw materials now has gone up.
And tariffs.
Tariffs. So.
And tariffs. So
well, your tariffs are only coming out of Europe, right? So these come from Portugal. Everybody knows
and South America.
And South America too. So
10%.
Those are a lot less than, say, somebody who's making straw and they've got to buy bodies out of China, and that tariff is ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah. I'm sure it is.
Oh yeah, it's big. So how has that changed the game so far?
COVID was interesting for us. Because I had recognized prior to COVID that I needed to do a reboot. So I knew it was time to change again, right? After all those changes I made, I kind of recognized the signs of it's time to change. And so we were repositioning ourselves. And at the same time we're repositioning ourselves, this boom starts out of nowhere. So it was very, very fortunate and good timing on our part that we were repositioning, because in that repositioning, we now had a boost, right, from the COVID sales. So we found that everyone needed hats, and apparently there was a shortage of raw materials to get the hats. Now, our company did not have the same experience of the shortage because of our family legacy. So that gave us a huge advantage, right? Because we had large inventories. I have 2 warehouses besides my manufacturing operation, right? Plus I have the relationships, okay? And I have excess capacity and extra equipment. So we were in a very unique position that all of those things lined up were like the perfect scenario.
So when you say you had the relationships, that means you got the bodies when somebody else maybe couldn't?
No, we already had the channels in place to just increase the volume.
Okay.
Right? So we keep something in mind. Family businesses rely on each other. So in that reliance, right, you're buying on a continuous basis, whether you need it or not, which means you're stockpiling it even if you don't have the sales. So that gains you a lot of credibility over 4 generations of doing that, right? So when we changed from being a raw material provider to being a hat company, and we started those channels where we were getting raw materials on a regular basis, we never stopped. So COVID was just like, okay, we just needed to increase it. It wasn't like, oh, now I have to buy it. It wasn't like that. I had it already. I already had my inventories, and I already had the channel open. So it was just a matter of just increasing the volume. That's why it was not an issue for us.
So one of the biggest problems right now in the Western industry is hat manufacturers are not opening new accounts, right? So everybody wants to be in the business because they see how, well, I mean, you have Beyonce, you have, all of these new, kind of driving factors for new people in the Western industry. And so everybody wants to open a new hat store or a new Western store, but they're having a lot of trouble getting accounts. What's your capacity for opening a new account?
So we are being thoughtful about opening new accounts. We just don't open anybody. We do it with a lot of caution, but we do open new accounts because we still have capacity. And we want to grow. And the next generation is invested in that as well.
Are you still doing the private label? Are you still, I guess, opening private label accounts? Because is that something that you want to change? Are you moving away from the private label and sticking to the brand? Are you trying to change that 60-40 split to maybe flip it around? Or what's the next move for that?
Well, we are good at private label.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We have that down. Right, I'd like to say that we're very conscientious about it, and yes, we are still opening up with a bit of restrictions, but we are still opening up private label accounts.
Interesting. I guess what's your biggest market in the United States? Is it pretty much spread all over the U.S. or is it?
Oh man, I think it's all over now
Like if these
because
people,
of chain growth.
yeah, if somebody's watching this and they say, all right, I want to go check out a Serratelli, where can they go?
Oh, go to our website, put in their zip code,
Oh, okay.
and there's a store locator, and they will be able to find product. No
Okay.
problem.
Can we talk about Boot Barn because they're a big customer of yours or no?
They may be.
They may be.
Who?
I know we talked at dinner last night
Yeah.
where Boot Barn had come in and done a video here. Can we talk about that or no?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it's no secret. It's online.
Okay.
Everybody can see it. Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting.
So, I do know that we can talk about Boot Barn because if you go on your store locator, it's Boot Barn centric, isn't it?
I think there's a couple of Boot Barn locations on there.
All right.
I think there might be.
So you're teasing me. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Might be.
So Boot Barn's a big customer.
They are one of our key accounts. Yeah.
Okay. And do they carry? I mean, are they carrying Serratelli brand, or are you doing private label for them? Because I'm not aware.
Yeah. No, we do both.
Okay.
We do both.
So if somebody wants to go into Boot Barns are everywhere.
Yeah.
If you want to go check out a Serratelli hat,
Yes.
you can go into Boot Barn. And,
Actually, yes, you're 100% right. You can go to Boot Barn and you can get either a private label or you can get a Serratelli.
okay. And are you doing all their private label then? Because I'm just curious for my own,
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. I'm just trying to let these guys know if they go in there and pick up a hat. Are they going to know it? All right. Oh, this is a Serratelli.
I mean,
even though
I
it says-
think we're doing all the felts,
Okay.
meaning fur felts,
Mhm.
the higher end.
Okay.
Not all the wools and stuff like that. Yeah.
Speaking of higher end, let's talk about some of your hats because you make a lot of hats. Like you make almost every color. You make like every blend. You make a pure wool. You make a 5X wool. Tell me, explain it all to me.
Well, because we've been through so many transitions through the times and the trends, the inventory has grown quite a bit. So we do have a lot of variations in qualities and colors that we can make into a variety of hats. So just over time, that's really kind of how that all transpired. So yeah, you can go up from a wool. I mean, I don't even know how many. We have so many wool colors. I don't even know how many we have. We have so many colors in 6X. I don't even know how many we have. I mean, it's just grown to the point where it's hard to keep track.
What's your best selling hat?
6X.
6X.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic hat for
For the money. It's a good,
Absolutely.
good buy for the money.
Absolutely. Speaking of money, how have the prices changed over the last 5 years affected you? Is it all driven by raw materials?
No, it's driven by labor as well.
Yeah.
So you've got the raw material cost, you've got the labor cost, and you have the tariffs now.
Is it more expensive labor here in New Jersey than it would be in Texas?
Well, the minimum wage, I think, and we don't pay minimum. I doubt anybody pays minimum, but just using that as a benchmark, the minimum wage in Texas is, I believe, around $7.
Yeah, it's something low. I don't have any idea what it is. I think it's $7.50.
I don't know if
or something
everybody
like that.
pays it, but I just go by the national average and I look at Texas as well. And here it's over 15.
Wow.
Yeah, that's more than double.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no one's coming in for that. You have to pay more.
Really?
Yeah, because
Even with a $15 minimum wage, you can't get anybody at minimum wage?
No, because it's a competitive market here in New Jersey. We have a high population, a high concentration population. So it drives up the salaries and the hourly wages. It's expensive to live here.
All right, we're going to talk more about that here in just a minute. All right, so we were talking about the rising cost of hats for the general public, and I guess what that means to you as a manufacturer. Do you look at ways to cut costs in order to not drive the price of hats up? Because as a consumer and our viewers, we hear this all the time: is why are they raising the prices again? Why are they raising the prices again? That's always the biggest question we get.
We absolutely look at keeping it tight. We revisit it twice a year, from the component costs, meaning boxes, liners, buckles, whatever we can do to keep it tight is what we do. We try not to raise our prices, and we haven't this year. Others have. We have not. We absolutely do not raise our price unless we absolutely positively have to.
Okay.
So as a family business, we rely on other families to buy our product.
Well, we appreciate that. So I know these guys are going to appreciate that
you. It's like we need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's no shortage of hats out there at the moment, right? I mean, you might not be able to find the exact one you want, but you're going to find a hat, because everybody and their uncle has started selling hats, in the last 5 years. Even if they have no idea what they're doing, they're now selling hats.
That's true.
So we appreciate that. Speaking of, I guess, selling hats, you're in New Jersey, and you guys are wearing hats. Is that common here?
Not in the least. No. It's gotten more acceptable though.
Okay.
Since COVID.
It's funny. I think about it a couple times, but I roll around like this, and I'm oblivious to the fact that I'm in New Jersey, right? And then I think about it, I'm like, I bet these guys think I'm a little weird. What's going on here?
Yeah.
So, but then I just keep
not anymore.
Keep doing my thing.
Yellowstone, right, and all those series have legitimized us. They've made us cool.
Okay.
So before, they looked at you kind of like, Now they're like, oh, that's cool. I want one of those. Where'd you get it? So I like that. That's fun.
Right. So I guess that's a pretty cool, interesting story. If you ever, have you ever been out and wearing a hat and somebody asks you, oh, that's cool, where'd you get it? And you're like, hey, let me tell you something.
I have a couple of stories. I was in the airport in Newark waiting for a flight, and I was getting my boots shined, and the guy said, the best hats are made in Texas. And I thought, oh my God, this guy has no idea that I make hats. So I thought that was kind of funny. And another thing is when I'm in California and I wear my hat, I get into restaurants without reservations because they just assume that I'm shooting a movie or I'm on a set. And so they give you the gratis of allowing you to get in front of the lines. And that was an accident. I just went up to give my name one day, and I was with my sons, and they were small at the time. This is an old story. And I literally just said, hey, I was thinking my name. And they're like, oh, don't worry, you don't have to wait. And there was a long line, and they brought us right in. So I thought, this is kind of cool, So then I wore my hat all the time in California because I got attention.
For sure.
And better service. I had another story where I had come out of this retail store. I had my hat on. And actually, my son Nick was with me. And for fun, we rented a Audi R8. Because I tried to make it interesting when the kids were small.
That's fun.
It was fun. And so I'm coming out, and I was going to get the car, and I hand the valet person the ticket. And he whispers in my ear, and he says, Iron Man. Because I had a beard like this. And I thought, Iron Man? And I looked at him, and I was like, what is he talking about? And my son goes, he thinks you're, who's the celebrity that plays Iron Man?
Thank you, Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, oh my God, I look like Robert Downey Jr. with a hat on and a beard. And I was like, oh my God. And then I later said to him, I said, why are you saying that? And he said, well, aren't you? And I said, no. And he goes, oh, his manager has an office from the building you just came out of, from the store. And I went, oh no, we were just in the retail store. So I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
But then I started having fun with that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Not a lot, but it was fun.
Yeah. So what's your favorite hat to wear? What are you wearing today? Tell us about that first, because we always get this question, what hat is he wearing? So tell us what you're wearing today.
So I'm wearing a Pure Beaver hat. Mm-hmm. I only wear Pure Beavers.
What brand is it?
I'd have to check. Not quite sure. Yes, it's one of mine, thankfully. Yeah. But I do wear them for a couple of reasons. One is the comfort. Mm-hmm. Two is I can wear it all year round. And the third reason is because when I travel, I don't have to have a carrying case because it's pretty much indestructible, and I can put it in an overhead, and I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. It won't lose its shape.
Nice. Let's talk about the bound edge, though, because you have a couple hats, and I've seen you in a couple different hats, and they tend to have the bound edge. Is that something that you prefer, or is that just kind of happened? How'd that happen?
So it's just personal at this point. It's something I like, because I feel like I can wear more colors if I have a contrasting bound edge. It just kind of opens up, to the wardrobe better. But it was also another kind of a trend that had occurred years ago. We were doing a ton of bound edges. And I just really like it. I think it's a very neat, clean look. But I know that it's not for everybody. And generally people are not willing to, or not usually interested in having a bound edge.
Well, I think the bound edge is, it's one of those things, right? Either you love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
But then eventually over time, you see enough of them, you think, oh, maybe it's not so bad.
Right. Right. Acquired taste.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with ribbons on felt. I never was a fan of ribbons on felt, and it's starting to grow on me.
Me too.
I don't know what it is.
I like it. I like the clean look.
Yeah.
There's something clean about it. And I think the reason I didn't really, it's an acquired taste, like you said, is because it kind of reminded me of a dress hat.
Yeah.
When I saw the ribbons, I thought, so now it just looks like I have a dress hat on with a big brim.
True.
But now I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the same color.
Yes.
It just looks really kind of understated.
I agree 100%. Black on black or what?
Yeah.
Matching, cream on silver belly, whatever.
Matching. Yeah, it just looks really rich.
I agree 100%. And a good bow anyway.
A good bow. And we make our bows by hand, the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, you guys have so much going on here. It's hard to explain all in one video. We've taken some B-roll. We were only here for a couple of days, but we're trying to get as much information to you guys as possible so you can see this.
We do a lot.
It's crazy, right? Yeah. So you do so many different styles and colors. You have many different crown shapes and brim shapes that you do. You do fantastic ribbons and bows and bound edges. It's kind of everything. And
and a lot of that is just an accumulation of over the last, since we started making hats, just going through all those different phases and stuff, and you just accumulate and you learn and you change and you build and you grow. And that's kind of why we have so much optionality now. So I would like to think we have more optionality than our competitors because of all that.
And is it something where somebody said, hey, we're thinking about, we want to do this, can you guys do that? And then you say, I don't know, let's find out.
Right.
And then now it's part of the catalog.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly how it happens.
That's exactly how it happens. Yeah, no problem. We're open to change, and hey, maybe you got a better idea. Why not?
That's really cool. Dean, we really appreciate you sharing the history, which is a very long history. I'm sure there's much more we could talk about, and we actually might have to do this again next time you're in the Fort Worth area.
Love to.
Stop in the studio.
Be great.
And I'm sure our viewers would love to have you on one of our live shows. That way they can ask the questions for you.
That would be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be a lot
of
fun.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having us
you.
out.
Thank you.
All right. Guys, if you want to know more about Serratelli Hat Company, check out the description below. We'll leave some links in there. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have questions, leave them in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.